Hi boys and girls, I'm here today to do Module 1, Lesson 9. My name is Miss Jimerson, 4th grade math teacher at Cypress Point Elementary. Today we're going to be using place value understanding to round multi-digit numbers to any place value. And the trick about today is we're going to try not to use the vertical number line. All right, let's start with our application problem. 34,123 people attended a basketball game. 28,310 people attended a football game. How many more people attended the basketball game than the football game? So let's underline or circle those important numbers in this application problem. So I see that 34,123 people went to the basketball game and 28,310 people went to the football game. And our question says, how many more people? That's the most important thing right there. How many more people? Whenever you hear those keywords of how many more, you should automatically think about subtraction. So we're going to be subtracting these two numbers. But before I can just subtract them, I need to draw two tape diagrams. One for the basketball game and one for the football game. So let's do that. So I'm going to put B for basketball game, and let's create a tape diagram. And 34,123 people went to the basketball game. And the football game, 28,310 people attended. So this is a lower amount. So this tape diagram just needs to be a little bit smaller. So we're going to put F or use F for football and just a little bit smaller. And we're going to input that number, 28,310. We always want to have some type of drawing or representation whenever we're doing these application problems. All right, now all we have left to do is to subtract. So we have 34,123 minus 28,310. All right, let's start in that ones place. 3 minus 0 leaves me 3. 2 minus 1 leaves me 1. Now look at those hundreds. 1 minus 3. Well, if I only have 1, can I take away 3? I surely cannot. So I need to regroup, and I need to take something from that 4. So when I take something from that 4, it's going to become a 3. And then I'm going to give that particular part back to this 1. So that 1 now becomes 11. All right, 11 minus 3 is going to leave us 8. Now in the thousands place, if I have 3, can I take away 8? I sure cannot. So I need to regroup again to finish this problem. So if I take 1 from that, that becomes a 2. And then I regroup, this now becomes 13. So now what's 13 minus 8? That's going to leave me 5. So 5,813 more people attended the basketball game than the football game. All right, let's move into some fluency. So the first one says 10 times 10 equals blank. So let's think about our multiplication facts. What's 10 times 10? If we were going to count 10 different times. So 10 times 10 would be 100. All right, the next one. 10 times blank 10 equals 100. So this is the same problem. It's just broken down a little bit differently. This one, it starts with the regular 10, the regular standard form, but then it also has the unit form. So 10 times blank 10 equals 100. So let's go back to that original problem. 10 times 10 equals 100. This one, 10 times 110 equals 100. It's still saying 10 times 10, but it's just looking at it in a little bit different way. It's in that unit form. All right, now this one is all unit form. Blank 10 times blank 10 equals blank 100. But we're still using the 10 times 10 equals 100. So this time I have 110 times 110 equals 100. So again, I just used the same multiplication sentence. I just broke it down in unit form. Good job. All right, the only time we're going to be using this not the place value chart, the vertical number line is for this fluency activity. All right, so let's look at this one, 63,941. They want us to round this one to the nearest 10,000s. So let's look at that number. What's in the 10,000s place? That's right, the 6. So my bottom end point, if I'm doing by the 10,000s, would be 60,000. All right, you guys, if my bottom is 60,000 and I'm going by 10,000s, my top would be 70,000. All right, and the last part is to find that midpoint. So I need to figure out what's in between 60,000 and 70,000. So my midpoint on this one would be 65,000. Now I need to figure out where 63,941 would go on my number line. My midpoint is 65,000. So 63,000 is going to go below my midpoint. So I'm just going to try to squeeze this number in here. And since it's below the midpoint, it rounds down to about 60. Very good job on that. Just a quick review of those. All right, now let's move into the actual skill. So we're going to be rounding to the nearest thousand without the number line. Are you guys ready? All right, let's get into this. So we have 4,333 is about blank. So first of all, we need to figure out, without using the number line, we just need to use our brains and figure out what is this closest to. Okay, so we're rounding again to the nearest thousand. So it says we need to ask ourselves which two thousands is our number in between. So if we were going to do a number line, a vertical number line, we would need to think what would be the bottom and what would be at the top. So if I'm rounding to the thousands place, I'm looking at the thousands place, the 4 in the thousands place. So I've got 4,000 might be my, or would be my bottom end point. And then 5,000 would be my top. So let's visualize that. I've got 4,000 at the bottom end point, 5,000 at the top. But I still need to figure out what would be in the middle between 4,000 and 5,000. Well, going back to the previous lessons and knowing what we already know about numbers, the midpoint would be 4,500. So 4,500. So let's think where this number would go. Is it going to go above the 4,500 or would it go below the 4,500? Since it's only 333, it's going to go below that 4,500. So that means it's going to round down to about 4,000. And I know it's a little hard to think about it without the vertical number line, but we just have to visualize it in our heads and think about what those two endpoints would be. We need to find that midpoint and then figure out where our number would go. So let's do some more. All right, so this time we're going to round it to the nearest 10,000. All right, so 65,600 is about blank. So again, we're going to round it to the nearest 10,000. We need to figure out and visualize what our vertical number line would look like. So if we're going to round to the nearest 10,000s, I need to be looking at that 6. So my bottom 10,000 would be 60,000. My top 10,000 would be 70,000. So I'd have 60,000 at the bottom, 70,000 at the top. Then we need to figure out what is the halfway mark between 60,000 and 70,000. So again, let's just visualize that number line. I've got my 60,000, 70,000. What would go right there in the middle? It would be 65,000. So I would have 60,000, 65,000, and then 70,000 at the very top. So let's figure out where our number would go. I have 65,600. So if my midpoint is 65,000, that 65,600 is going to be just a little bit above that midpoint. So it's at if it's above the midpoint, it's going to round up to be about 70,000. All right, good job on that one, you guys. Again, I know it's a little hard to think about that, but we always want to be able to do these skills with or without that number line. Okay, let's think about these. Next, we're going to be doing to the 100,000s place. So 676,000 is about blank. So let's think about what our 200,000s would be. So what's in the 100,000s place in this number? We've got the 6. So my bottom 100,000 would be 600,000. My top would be 700,000. And I need to figure out what my midpoint would be. So the bottom is 600,000. The top is 700,000. The midpoint would be 650,000. It'd be right there in the middle. So where can we put this number? 676,000. If our midpoint is 650,000, 676,000 would go above that midpoint. So if it goes above the midpoint, it rounds up. So this one would be about 700,000. All right, let's look at this one. Also to the nearest 100,000s. We've got 203,302. So let's think about what our bottom 100,000 would be and what our top 100,000 would be. So in this particular number, the 2 is in the 100,000s place. So my bottom would be 200,000. My top would be 300,000. So let's think about what would be in between 200,000 and 300,000. Let's think about that. In between 200,000 and 300,000 would be 250,000. All right, now, where would this number fall? 203,302. Do you think that's going to go above 250,000 or below 250,000? It's definitely going to go below 250,000. So if it's below the midpoint, it is about 200,000. All right, let's look at this one to the nearest 1,000. 5,400. So what's in our thousands place here? We have 5 in the thousands place. So let's visualize what our number line would look like. We would have 5,000 at the bottom, 6,000 at the top. So what would be our midpoint between 5,000 and 6,000? Our midpoint would be 5,500. So where would 5,400 fall into? Is it going to be above the midpoint or below the midpoint? It's going to go below the midpoint, so it's going to round down and become about 5,000. Good job. All right, to the nearest 10,000. 34,877 is about blank. So the 10,000s place, there's a 3. So if again we visualize that number line, we would have 30,000 at the bottom, 40,000 at the top. And right in between would be 35,000. So where would this number fall? 34,877. Is it going to be above 35,000 or below 35,000? It goes just a little bit below. So this one rounds down to 30,000. So it's about 30,000. All right, you guys did amazing today, rounding to the nearest 10,000s and 100,000s place. I'll see you again next time.